Bigfoot, aliens from outer space. There are stories out there that have haunted us for generations. Ordinary people put in terrifying situations. Sometimes the unexplained is stranger than the books we read. Do you have a story? An unsolved mystery? Lock yourself away with us for the next hour and let's talk about it. Nothing is too far. Nothing is off the table. You want to be heard? You want your story out there? Or do you just want someone to believe you? Well, then let's talk. I've got time and you've got a story. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Find the courage to call us or just listen in while we work through the stories of regular people just like you, reliving extraordinary situations. It's time to go off the record. Oh, that just sounds so good. You know, when it comes to... you just can't tell how that's going to play out. You can't tell if that's going to come out strong or not until you hear it. Yeah. And I'm flipping all the buttons and doing all the work by myself. I can't figure it out, but I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Welcome to Off the Record. It is a little bit after 7 o'clock Los Angeles time here on the West Coast. November 5th it is. And we normally have callers call in. But not tonight. No. Tonight we have something special for you guys. Now, what we've done all these other times, what we've done all across the board is you guys call in. We talk about stuff, the Bermuda Triangle. We talk about conspiracy theories. You guys are big on alien abductions and ghost stories. You guys are big on that. You guys call in and you guys give me chills. But we're flipping the tables on you guys tonight. That's right. We're doing something a little different. What about all the times that there's ghosts out there? And what about the guys who track them down? Yeah. You ever think about that side of the equation? Do you ever wonder what it's like being on the other side? Well, what about the boys from Hometown Ghost Stories? We got 2 out of the 3. That's a good batting average still. We're still batting, almost 666 if we got 2 out of 3. That's good. These guys, this is what they do. This is their job. This is what they get up every morning for. They track down stories. Sometimes they drive to the locations. They get out their Ghostbusters gear. I've seen them all drive around and get out of a 1959 Cadillac, all painted white and red, with the sirens running. I've seen them run across there. Yeah.
KGXD radio is still playing.
Is it? I can fix that. Sorry. How about now? Now we got that. KGXD radio, the butt's going how it's supposed to. Listen. These guys got their proton packs, okay? They know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know they know what they're doing. And knowing is half the battle we learned as growing up. So listen, I need to introduce you guys. We need to bring them on, all right? And there's 2 out of the 3 guys. This is what they do. They've been doing this for a few years. These guys are pros. I'm telling you, I'm going to ask questions that I'm going to have to look up the meaning of the words afterwards because they got $12 words and I'm a $3 word guy. But I'm telling you, I'm so privileged to have them on tonight just to talk to them. We got Rob and we got Dave. The other guy's missing, so he doesn't count. Tonight, we can't even say his name. No.
Did he get abducted by ghosts?
I don't know. Yeah. That's what Rob told me. Before the show, Rob goes, well, Jesse won't be here. He's a regular. He gets abducted every Wednesday, so he can't go. All right, I understand that. So let's bring them up. Let's see if we can get them on the show. They're feed number 6. Guys, are you there?
I hope so.
Dave, can we hear you too?
Here I am.
All right. Now, that should be 5 by 5. Can you believe I did this without a technical guy? I actually got the Zoom call to work with Streamlabs on the radio. I'm waiting for my trophy to fall from the ceiling right now because that's a miracle for a guy like me. Dave, Rob, thank you guys for taking time out of your evening to show up. I really, I can't put into words how much I appreciate you guys showing up. Really.
Well, thanks. No problem.
Now, listen, before we get going too far on this, I just want a quick background. I know people are interested in what you do, but can you guys, is this like a full-time gig for you now, or do you guys still have 9 to 5 jobs you do?
Yes.
I guess they got 2 full-time jobs. This one probably doesn't pay as well as your other one, though, because you guys seem to spend a lot of time. I mean, I've watched some of your videos on here. I've watched quite a few of them now. You guys have a very unique style for your podcast. You guys do, a lot of guys just jump in the middle of a podcast and away they go. But you guys actually put some time into a video describing what you're going to talk about. Now, do you guys do that, or do you borrow that from someone else, those pre-production videos?
No,
No,
plus
we-
plus.
Yeah, we write all of that. We record the audio, and we edit all the videos ourselves. And Jesse, the missing member, some say the lesser member. You got the two of the best three of us here, but he produces all the music as well. So like everything on our show, basically one of the three of us is doing.
Well, then with that being said, there comes my first compliment of the night, because you guys do such, it's so well crafted. It's almost like a mini documentary. And I've heard Rob talk about in the podcast part, I've heard Rob go back and refer to the video where he's intentionally left stuff out because it just would go too long. I watched the one on Tombstone, and constantly Rob's going, well, I didn't talk a lot about that. I didn't talk a lot about this. He left some stuff out because he had mentioned it was going so long. So you guys are putting some thought into that. That's not like an easy task to just whip something together. There's some effort in there, and believe me, I know, because I struggle with that kind of stuff on my end. But so the second compliment coming at you guys, I want you to know here's what the appeal is to everyone in the world who watches your stuff. You guys seem very authentic. You don't seem like you're trying to sell a narrative. I've never saw any of your videos where you pretend that something happened was more than it was. You don't say, oh, did you guys all see that in the corner there? Well, that's obviously proof that something's happening. You never do that. You guys always are very fair. Like, no. When Rob will say, I think, or Jesse would say, I think the sensor went off because we walked by it. You never try to oversell stuff. You guys are very, very fair about it, I thought, and balanced with what you guys do. But let me back up and let you guys talk for a minute. How did you guys get started in this?
I'll let you take that, Dave.
So, well, it all started when Rob called us up one day and said, hey guys, I want to do a ghost podcast. And we're like, that's pretty cool, because we had dabbled in ghost investigating. Rob grew up in a haunted house, so he would invite us over and we'd have our amateur equipment and we'd hang out in his creepy attic and try and find ghost evidence.
Sure.
And you had kind of alluded to this earlier. We mentioned it. We've always been actually curious about finding out whether or not ghosts really do exist, and not so much about selling somebody on the idea that they exist. So we've always been super skeptical and really trying to find stuff that could possibly point to ghosts being real. So that's kind of how we got started, and kind of how we have that, what you referred to as that authentic feel, which I agree with.
Yeah, and for those of you just joining in on the radio station, the numbers are climbing right now, so people are tuning in. Yes, you've reached the Gen X Talks Off the Record show, and we are interviewing. We have the privilege of being with the Hometown Ghost Stories guys, and this is Dave, and this is Rob. There's one guy missing, so we just we'll fill in where he should be talking with cartoon animal voices, and we'll be just fine. So, did you see what I was saying about that? When you're not overselling something, I was really worried that you guys were going to be one of those shows where you set out all your sensors, you set out all your gear, and then every time there's a bump on the window, you guys go, oh, look, it's proof that there's a ghost here. And you guys don't do that. You guys literally only get excited when you guys believe something paranormal is happening. So my question is, how often does that happen to you guys when you go set up and you're at a location doing it? First of all, what's the gear you use? Because everyone's dying to know what you have out there. And how often does it pan out for you?
Well, I wish it was 100% hit rate, because we wouldn't waste, footage and hours going to places. But I think we've had 3 or 4 investigations that we completely had to not even release because just nothing happened the entire night. So,
wow.
And it doesn't mean a place isn't haunted either if you don't get anything that particular night. So you'll see a lot of people that go to a place for 3 hours, they don't get any activity, and they'll be like, well, this place isn't haunted. It's like, well, growing up in a house that I think was pretty haunted, the hauntings didn't happen every day, every week. Like, it was, very sporadic on that stuff.
Right.
But the equipment we use, we have REM pods, we have our motion sensors. One of them's a creepy music box that is terrifying when it goes off and you're in a room by yourself and there's no lights on. We use
Voice recorders. We use EMF detectors. We have a grid sensor that's it detects motion and it detects temperature changes. A lot of times It's commonly believed that if something is trying to manifest, it has to draw energy, and a lot of times the most common energy for it to draw on is heat. So when you feel the room
Oh.
go colder, that could be a spirit trying to manifest, whether it be through sound or actually appear as an apparition or what have you.
Now, as a guy who doesn't know anything, my first thought would be all of your equipment would be geared towards catching something happening, like in motion. You guys are waiting for it to happen, and your equipment is going after it. Now, that the basic of that may be true. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, but when you guys go in there, you guys are asking for an entity of some sort to use your equipment to say, can you do the yes, no? Can you move this? Can you trigger the music box? Is that, am I getting that right? That some of these things you put out are you're not, enticing is not the right word, but you're offering?
Yeah, so there are two different kinds of spirits that we usually try and contact. There are residual hauntings, and then there are intelligent hauntings. And you don't know what you're going to get. So you have different equipment that can detect either or both. So the SB7 Spirit Box is a device that you can use to communicate with intelligent spirits. And what this does is it channels through radio stations, and you will get little voices that come through in between the stations, and sometimes a voice will carry over multiple stations. Now you have to be careful with this because you have to be able to debunk what actually is just a voice on the radio coming through,
Right.
and what might be coming through in between. And a common way to be able to tell what's coming through in between is if something carries over multiple channels, right? So you could get like a blip of a voice that's coming through that's just a radio DJ, and that's gonna, it's gonna come through just for a split second that you hit that channel. But if something's carrying over like 5 to 7 channels and it's a long sentence, that could be something in between, especially if it directly answers the question that you asked.
Wow. That, how would you even get to the point of I can't even tell you the amount of knowledge that it would take to get to that point where you can say, okay, this is what we're setting up for equipment. This is what we're looking for. I mean, the trial and error on that just must be daunting to think about. Like Rob said, there's got to be times when nothing happens, and you just try again. You swing and a miss. But you guys have been out how many episodes do you got? Like 100, almost 180 or so that are up?
For like our actual episodes, I think we're at 180, but we do a side content episode every week now as well. So make that probably closer to 350
Wow.
total episodes of content that we've done.
Sure.
Plus that there are investigation episodes as well. But it's a lot of work, but we love doing it. And it's been a blessing too, because as you know, your first show, you start with 0 listeners, 0 viewers.
Yep.
And in way shorter time than we expected, our listener base grew way larger than we ever expected. And now because of that, we have a phenomenal following. We have great listeners that are there for us every week, because we do our show live.
Sure.
Every Tuesday night. We do that pre-produced section, but all the banter and stuff is live. And it's afforded us to be able to travel, and go to these haunted locations and actually investigate them. It's been great.
Been poking around these things with you guys. Dave, now maybe I'm getting this wrong, okay, but I am a keen observer of human nature, so grant me a little bit of latitude. But it seems like Dave is more like the sound and the voice of reason in this. Jesse's the guy who seems to jump up when something bumps and run to the next room to find out what's going on. And Rob's the guy who's going, man, I just asked it a question. I wasn't trying to start nothing. All I did was ask, I just asked what his favorite baseball team was or something. And Rob's the one going, I didn't mean to start anything. If that's not accurate, you can correct me. But more than one episode, that kind of fits the narrative when I see you guys out there looking around.
Yeah, I'd say you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. But what's funny is I joined the group as the resident skeptic because I was somebody who was like, you're not going to convince me that ghosts exist. And, here we are, however many physical locations later and,
Right.
180 episodes later, definitely more open-minded, always still skeptical. I think it's very important to remain a skeptic.
Sure.
If you just, believe anything blindly, then nothing really matters what you do believe. So I think it's always important to question things.
And
But
that brings me
definitely
to a question. Do you guys ever get drawn into a place where you can tell right away when someone's, hey, come to our house and check the haunted house and check this and look at that? Because you guys must get invitations to people to come to look at things. Do you ever know, like ahead of time if somebody's overselling it, that is probably not real. You can tell by the way they're trying to get you out there. They're just promising you the sun, the moon, and the stars, because you guys have to choose every week. You got to choose what you're going to talk about. You can't just be running out every day, going to every house everyone suggests. I gotta think there's people that would be out there to trick you. I would guess there would be. A lot of them are probably real, but there has to be. I'm guessing, that you've probably run into people that you're thinking, we shouldn't have been out here. This is a waste of time. This guy's not lying, tricking, or just trying to get you guys as celebrities to come out to his house to, film his barn or something. Have you ever run into anybody doing that?
So I'm going to answer this two different ways. So in terms of like actually going to the location, because we don't always go to the location for our episodes. Those are kind of special when
Sure.
we do go. But in terms of going to a place, there's been a few that I've looked into, and as I've dug deeper into some history of the place and some other stuff, I've been like, dude, there's no way we're going to this place, because I think that
Right.
the owner is putting on a front. I won't name them.
No.
That's
Yeah.
just-
And I wouldn't ask you to, but that can happen.
But yeah, that I have come across that. And the way I'll answer it the other way is, some of these locations that we've covered on the show, we don't believe half the stuff that the story is telling you.
Sure.
But that's why we have the banter part, because we talk about that and we debunk the stuff as well. We think it's important to cover those stories
Yeah.
just as much as the ones that actually might have a haunting, because you need to know. You have to have both
Sure.
ends of it. Like Dave said, you can't just be blindly believing every single thing. And if you're able to debunk something, it makes everything else you do more authentic, right?
Right.
So-
Well, this will bring me to compliment number 3. You guys, so you do the beginning of your podcast, which is your video, which is excellent, by the way, like a mini documentary. But during the podcast, the 3 of you guys, you go off the reservation. You guys giggle and talk and poke, and almost like you forget that we're watching you. And I'm telling you, you do it, you hang it out there just right, and you bring us all back to the topic where no one sits there and goes, hello, guys, remember we're doing a ghost story here. No one does that. You guys hang stuff out there, and you bring us out and to be silly, and you poke fun at each other and what you're doing, and then you come right back to the topic in just enough time, and you carry on. I'm telling you, I stayed along for the whole ride. It's not something you can be taught. You guys are really, really good at that part of it, the way you guys do things together and the way you, like he just said, you poke and you banter and you do that stuff. But I'm going to ask Rob something, since he brought up doing the research. He brought up doing the research on the places and doing things. Of all the things that I've watched, and I think all 3 of you are authentic, and I think all 3 of you are passionate. But Rob really, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, man, you really got serious about that Lincoln one, that Lincoln jail one. You were passionate about that. What was the guy's name? Clay, I think, was the kid who got drug out of there during the Prohibition thing, and he was in that jail. Did I get that?
Oh, the Lincoln County Jail.
Yeah, the Lincoln County Jail one. I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm listening to that, I backed it up a couple different times and watched you talk about that. You got in pretty deep on that. Like I felt like you really were interested in that story as much or more than some of the other ones. And how you described something, it never even hit me. You said something poignant. You said, people go into these places and they want to talk to a ghost, and they're looking for a ghost, and everybody's looking for Clay. And you said, what about all the people that were dead that were part of the mob? What about the other ghosts that could be there? So that brought me up to Sunny point number 2. How do you guys know who you're talking to? And how do you know that it's, because you guys get some definite answers with your equipment. How do you guys differentiate that? Because that's got to be not only scary when it happens, because now there's something in the room with you guys, but now you got to figure out who.
Yeah. So that's the thing when you go to these places, is people believe they know who's haunting those locations. And when you talk about the Lincoln County Jail, and you talk about that kid, he was a Prohibition agent who was 17 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he got into a tussle with a former police captain from that town, ended up shooting that police captain. That captain died. The entire town is upset. they drag him from his cell and they hang him in the town square.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone believes that that's the kid that is haunting the second floor because that was his cell, and that is who we tried to communicate with when we went there, and we were getting like a little bit of responses, and then you really have to be open-minded, just like with anything. It's like, well, just because this is who everyone thinks is here to communicate with, this was a prison.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that were on this second floor, and also that atrocity happened, and a lot of people, that might have been the worst moment of a lot of those people's lives, and I'm sure a lot of them regretted it.
Right.
Right. And I'm sure others didn't. And that might be where their energy, like as they're haunting, it might be a place that they go back to. So we just on the fly decided to try to communicate with them, like with some of the mob here, and that's when me and Dave really started getting the responses there in that second floor of the Licking County Jail. And that one, if you watch that investigation, we cut our investigations down because there's so much. Like
Sure.
you're there for hours and hours and hours, and we usually try to cut those investigations down to 6-7 minutes if we can. We let most of that roll because there was a whole narrative going on and like questions that were being answered. So it was a really cool experience at the Licking County Jail.
What
But
is
to
the?
answer your-
Go ahead.
Sorry, to answer your question of how you can tell which one you're talking to, the short answer is you really can't definitively tell which spirit you're talking to, but we can kind of narrow it down, or sometimes can figure it out by asking specific questions. And depending on the specific answers that you get, sometimes you can get a pretty good idea of which spirit you're talking to.
I get that. That would make sense. All right. So let me, because I have other questions and I'm being selfish about this. I'm not pandering to the audience the way I'm supposed to. I want each of you to give me your favorite ghost story. And I mean something you without a doubt believe it was real. You were there, like made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. No question. Doesn't have to be exciting like like somebody knocked over the lamp and burned the house down. No. I'm not saying that. But each of you give me something like that was the one you remember. If you had to put it on your tombstone, your epitaph, like this is the one story I want you guys to all remember, which one would that be?
I can start here because I can, and I don't know, I've had, 10 seconds to think about this. So what I'll give you is the story that we saw in person that made me go from the I'm just coming to debunk everything because I don't believe it to the oh shit, maybe I don't know everything.
Okay, yeah.
So it was before we actually started the show, and we did our first real ghost investigation out in Western Massachusetts, out in the Berkshires, at a place called the Houghton Mansion. And it was an old Mason's Lodge that had a bunch of history to it, and it had since been shut down. It's now condemned, but before it was condemned, we actually got to go in there and investigate. And one of the hauntings that occurs at this place that the keepers would often talk about was that there's this one big door that will just slam shut randomly. And they think that this was a ghost. I'm like, oh, easy. I can debunk this.
Sure.
I grew up, I'm in the carpentry industry and I work with stuff all the time. Like I can figure out why this door is slamming, or if it even really is slamming, we'll see.
Right.
So what it is big, heavy French door, glass panels, you can see right through it. And we have it, it's open and it's sitting there. And we said, all right, if there's a ghost here and you're haunting this place and you can hear us and you can communicate with us, shut the door. And on cue, door slams shut.
That did not happen.
Oh my God.
That did not happen.
I was like, it can't happen twice, right? So we open the door again, and this is all on video. It's on our TikTok. You can actually go watch it. But we open the door again, and we again, we're like, all right. The name of the ghost was allegedly A.C. Houghton. We're like, A.C. Houghton, if you're here, shut the door. There's nothing. And then Jesse goes, give it a 3 count. And Rob goes, 3, 2, 1. Door goes boom and shuts again.
No possible way, man.
That's what I was saying, and I couldn't debunk it. I'm looking at this door. We can see right through it. There's no one standing on the other side. There's people in the comments that say, "Oh, it's probably fishing wire," but we're not. We're just. I was there to look at this and figure it out, and I could not figure it out. So ever since then, I was kind of like,
no,
I don't know, dude. Maybe.
No. I'd have packed up my stuff and said, "Okay, we got to go. It's time to leave right now." Yep. My God, there's How do you now? If you're there and you walking around the door, you grab the door, you're looking for fishing line, you're looking for a little something. There's not. If you looked at it, if you inspected it yourself, all you can do is throw your hands up in the air at that point. I mean,
Right. And I did. I looked, to make sure that the people there weren't messing with us.
Sure.
But I think a lot of the accusations that we got online were like, "You guys were doing it," but this was, mind you, this was before we had our show. We're not showing this to anyone. We were
Right.
there for our own fun, just to see if we could, figure out what was haunting this place. And
Well, see,
I-
and this lends to the way you guys don't just sensationalize every little creak in the floorboard. You don't. I've watched your videos. You don't go after that. So it lends credibility to the ones that are authentic. It really, I'm telling you, I chose my words carefully in the beginning when I said you guys really seem authentic because of just how you carry yourselves during the whole show. I mean, I noticed it. So, God, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that door did that at all. Oh, okay.
We were amateurs then too. That was 5 or 6 years, maybe more, before we actually started the show. So like we didn't know what the hell we were doing at that point in time. Our gear consisted of like EMF detectors and maybe a spirit box. We didn't have much. Like we were just going there to go there. I mean,
You guys just started with a flashlight. That was our gear. Hit a
basically.
flashlight.
I know, that was it. Flashlight and cell phone video.
That's right. Rob, what do you got? What was your favorite story?
I'm shocked that Dave didn't bring up the Sally House, and this is my current favorite story. So we went to the Sally House, which is one of the most haunted houses in America.
Right.
People know ghost stories. Well, I'm not going to say they've heard of the Sally House, but a lot of people have heard of the Sally House.
Right.
And so we went there to investigate, and three things happened in this house, but I'll tell you two of them.
I think I just saw this one. This is the one, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the house that is now owned by the city. So you
Yep.
guys had free run of the whole place. There was nobody in there to bother you, upset you, mislead you, that you guys could do this all on your own. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead. I'm with you.
Yeah, so Dave was on the second floor, and he was doing a solo investigation in the children's room. And he's sitting there, he's doing a spirit box session, and he's getting nothing. And then just as soon as he says, like, I'm not really getting anything here, this scream comes, like this, like, I don't even know how to describe this, like, demonic scream comes out of the spirit box, and it carries over 20, 25 channels.
Wow.
And it's terrifying. So that was really scary. But the craziest part of this investigation is we're back here, we're editing the whole thing. We edit the video. We end that night we did a group investigation in the same room. And in that group investigation, we watched this footage like 30 times,
Yeah.
and we didn't see this. Our listeners saw it during the live. There's one point in the video that if you go back and watch that, there is a stuffed animal. It doesn't fall over. It sits up like the Undertaker on the bed,
No.
just in the back corner. And we don't circle it. We don't point it out because we didn't see it until our listeners saw it. And then I think I watched it back like 20 times. Me and Dave were just sitting there like, how did we miss
How'd
this?
you miss it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They said they're commenting on the live, and they're like that doll just sat up, or that doll just moved. They didn't say sit up. They said that doll just moved. And I'm like, Jesse was sitting on the bed. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure the doll moved because Jesse's sitting on the bed. If you've ever watched your investigations, Jesse's bouncing around like a insane person. I'm sure one of the dolls just shifted, but it was when we played it back. I'm watching it. Jesse wasn't moving, and even if he was, it doesn't matter because that doll, like Rob said, didn't fall over. It just sat up. And
Okay.
it was
Goosebumps.
so
I gotta
weird.
I'm embarrassing myself now because I'm getting goosebumps on the show.
So weird. And it was one of the most compelling things I've seen in an investigation that we've got, and we all missed it. And if it wasn't for the listeners, we wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
Here's another question that comes to mind. And I if I were to go to a location and someone says, okay, there's ghosts in the room right now, I'd be like, I'd be angry. I'd go at him and say, okay, you show yourself. Why don't you come punch me in the face? Why don't you try to scratch me? Why don't you do something to me, tough guy? I mean, admittedly, mostly because I'm scared. I'm trying to, that's how I would approach it, being the tough guy, like trying to be adversarial. You guys never do that. You guys are respectful. You guys ask questions of entities that are there. You give them opportunities. I didn't see any. Now, I may not have seen all of them, but the ones that I have seen, tell me why you do that. Why do you go into that situation? Because not all ghosts are probably nice. Some of them might be mean, but you guys never take that stance. Why? Who came up with that?
I think you don't know what you're getting when you go into a location. You don't know what kind of spirits are there. Most are not malign. Most of them are either friendly spirits or they don't know they're ghosts. We deal with there's a lot of children ghosts that haunt places, and a lot of them are playful. And if it's a kid ghost and the ball rolls down the hallway, obviously that's horrifying, right? You see that red ball bouncing down the hallway in the dark, and you probably want to go, get away, or whatever. But that could be the ghost of a little kid that doesn't know they're a ghost, right?
Wow.
So we don't know. So we ask questions. And even if it is a malign spirit, I think the idea of challenging it is generally frowned upon, because if you're dealing with a negative entity, it could attach itself to you, or it could, you don't want to invite something in that could be negative, especially if you're going home to your own family. You don't want to bring that stuff home.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm not speaking from any experience at all. I'm asking, and it's going to sound like a dumb question coming from a dumb mechanic in the middle of the desert, which is all I am. But I didn't see all your episodes, but I saw a lot of them because I just kept binge watching through. I didn't see one where you guys had a Ouija board out, and that seems to be the way to communicate for the general public. What is your stance on that? Don't use it, do use it? It's malarkey. I mean, what do you think?
We've never gotten it to work.
Yeah, we've used it a couple times. I think we're not patient enough. There is actually a science behind the Ouija board, and there's people that believe that it's specifically just malign, and you're using it, you're gonna just contact demons. There are people that believe that it's actually a very useful channel to contact the other side, and then there's people that don't know how to use it, which we probably fall more into that one. I mean, I understand the idea of it.
Right.
So the real science behind the Ouija board is you're supposed to have multiple people. I think you can do it with 2 people, but you have to put your hands on the planchette and you have to hold them there until your arms get really tired. And that's when you kind of lose control of your muscles a little bit.
Okay.
And you'll start involuntarily moving the planchette, and you're not moving it with any intent. If you just let it, you have multiple people doing this. If you just kind of let it do its own course and then ask questions, whatever energy is in that room, whether it's good or bad, can then manipulate the planchette to communicate with you. So that's the science behind it. We've just never had the patience to get that.
Well, here's what kind of threw me in my own mental wanderings. Again, watching your programs, studying what you guys are doing. You guys seem to be more location based. And here's the Ouija board thing. This is why I'm bringing it up. Is that they're like, hey, let's, you live in Southern California, and my grandmother died in Tennessee. Let's get the Ouija board out and talk to Grandma. Well, now hold on, because you're in Southern California using a Ouija board. Your grandmother died in Tennessee. She'd never been to California. That kind of contradicts everything you guys do. Location. So that's why I asked, because it doesn't seem like that would be a viable thing if you're looking for somebody specific or a specific entity. Maybe perhaps if you were at a place and you say, I'm open to anybody on the Ouija board coming and using this equipment, this tool. But am I getting that right in my head? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's a good question. Go ahead, Rob.
I think it really depends on. So for me, I don't believe that. I think that just because you die somewhere doesn't mean that's where you're going to haunt.
Okay.
I think that places that you frequent or spend a lot of time at or had really bad memories or really good memories at are places that you could potentially be haunting. That's why you see celebrity ghosts that haunt multiple different locations, right? Or
okay.
I also think that there's possibilities where you see a lot of haunted hotels, like a lot of the old haunted hotels, and people register that with tragedy.
Right.
But what people forget is the early 1900s, hotels were destination spots. Like
sure.
you went to a hotel for a vacation. So you might have died at 80 years old, and this is just my belief.
Right.
But if your best memories were from 6 years old, this vacation you went on with your family, like maybe you're manifesting there as that 6-year-old child,
Well-
and that's a residual haunting at that
Sure,
point.
that and that ties in with something you said, Rob. You were talking about on your Tombstone episode with Big Nose Kate haunting the hotel in Tombstone where she was at with Doc, because I don't think that's where she died. I think she died a long ways away from there.
Yeah.
So that, and I was going to ask you this, like, well, is there any evidence to how long it takes a ghost to travel someplace? Because if they're haunting multiple locations, they can't be, they're not Ubering places, and I'm sure they're not walking. But I mean, I would have no way of, if someone said, let me put it this way. If someone said, hey, we for sure were speaking with this one ghost in Kansas, and then a week later someone says, well, I was for sure speaking to this ghost in Arkansas, and it's the same ghost. Would you guys believe that a ghost could travel that far in a week, or would you guys go, no? What? Just your gut reaction. I know there's no way to clock this, but some people would call that proof that one of the two people is incorrect. What
That
would you
be
get?
true. I think that would be true if you are saying that ghosts have to, that the rules for ghosts apply to the same rules that people in the physical world have to follow. So I think if something is natural and exists in the natural world, then it has to adhere to natural laws of physics. If something exists supernaturally, they don't follow any of the laws of the natural world. So they're not bound to time constraints. They're not bound to location. They're not bound to language, right? So you could communicate with a ghost of a person who never spoke English just fine, because a ghost is not using English to communicate. It exists supernaturally beyond, right? This is, metaphysics. So
I would have never thought of that. Far out, man. That's a perfect explanation. I wouldn't even have assumed that far down the road. Now, as much as I like to compliment you guys, I think I've been pretty straightforward about my admiration, about my complimentary tones. I do have a question. I saw a video that kind of made me scratch my head and chuckle a little bit. I'm not sure if either one of you are responsible for this. And feel free, if we need to throw Jesse under the bus because he's not here, that's actually one of my favorite things to do, is blame the guy who's not in the room.
Hold on. I have to tell you, Jesse jumped into the YouTube chat.
Oh,
So
did he?
he's there and he's listening and he's saying hi to everybody.
I guess the aliens returned him early. It's Wednesday, his Wednesday thing. All
shit,
right.
that means we can't throw him under the bus like that.
Yeah,
we can still throw him under the
I
bus.
thought I'd warn you ahead of time.
No, Rob said you could still throw him under the bus. He's not here. All right, so I complimented you guys on your videos for being very authentic. A lot of time put into them, a lot of effort. Then, I'm not saying I got let down, boys. I'm not saying you didn't rise to the occasion, but I saw the one for Horror in Modesto. All right? I watched the whole thing. Not real sure how Red Dead Redemption fits into the narrative of that. But if you could explain that to me, I'd love to hear it.
So this was okay. So we've evolved, right, over time with our. So I'll take the blame for this one because that was my episode.
Okay.
We put these episodes together, and we earlier on we were more constrained with what we could do visually. So I had this whole backstory about this Wild West town that had this Wild West shootout scene, and I was playing through Red Dead Redemption. I'm like, I could just use this. I could just screen grab this and play this in the background while we're talking about this Wild West shootout scene, and it could be pretty cool.
It did work out pretty cool, but it looks so different from all the stuff I'd seen so far. Okay, somebody was in a hurry that night and said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just doing this. It did fit. But it just was it was an odd departure from what I'd seen.
What I didn't consider at the time either, and it was that when you're watching something and you're totally like you're bought in and you're following along, and you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who plays Red Dead Redemption, that's going to take you right out of it. So in retrospect, I totally understand that, but it was more like I think it works visually for what I was trying to do.
It did. It fit well. You took the time to acted out in that game very well. It like I said, it was such a departure from what I'd seen.
It was an early episode too. I'm actually, thank you for liking the Tombstone episode, because that was our second episode ever. But we had no resources then, right?
Sure.
We weren't making money. We didn't. Now we have access to stock footage, and stuff like that, and we've bought a camera, obviously, and we
Right.
can film a lot of the stuff on our own now. So in the beginning, you're just sort of pieceworking. That's why we're like, when people are like, I want to check out your show, I'm like, check out the newer stuff first, and then go back to the old stuff.
I think everybody goes through that. I think even people in film would go, "Don't watch my first movies," because you're refining not only the stories but yourself too as you go along. I think that's fair. What is for each of you? What would be the holy grail of a place to go if money wasn't an object, and you guys could say, "I want to go spend some time here." What's on your radar down the road?
Oh, like a dream location?
Dream
For me,
location, yeah.
I would love to go down to the Aztec pyramids. I think that would be really cool. I don't know if they're haunted. I assume they gotta be, but even just to go there to check it out, because that's just the history down there is wild.
Or the lack of history, because sometimes they don't notice some of those civilizations down that way. They disappeared and no one knows why. You guys may find a whole bunch of ghosts down there going, "We'll tell you what happened. We're still here." The Aztec one, I wouldn't have thought of that. What about you, Rob? What's your holy grail if money was no object? Where would you go?
My holy grail would be to just go to Japan and do multiple locations in Japan. The culture, the Japanese culture is amazing. Their paranormal culture, like their legends and their ghosts, are terrifying. And you don't see a lot of investigations come out of Japan. So I would love to go investigate places in Japan. But we are going international next year.
Right on. That's cool, man. I can't wait. I'm vested. I'm in now. I'm vested in this now. I want to be part of it and listen and comment along and read all the background. I mean, you guys, like I said, it's when the beginning of your podcast is set up so different from what everybody else is doing. It's like a mini documentary before you begin talking. I think the last one I saw, I was skipping around through them, was Alcatraz. And I have seen a ton of documentaries on Alcatraz. I've seen movies on Alcatraz. And whichever one of you guys put that together, you covered everything in a short time. You hit all the key points that the big boys in Hollywood do. You covered all of it. Some of it with graphics and pictures and angles I'd never seen before. It was very refreshing because that means one of you guys took the time when Frank Morris's head mask was on the bed. I've seen about every angle except for the one I saw with you guys. And it really keeps it fresh for someone who's already done some homework on that. That was great. That little documentary was like a refresher course, and it kept me riveted to the whole thing. Plus, no one ever talks about the guy who went back in, who crawled up to the roof and went back and got, and stayed there, and got her, was found, he was trying to escape and then didn't. No one ever brings him up. You guys did. Yeah. Let me ask you, don't lie to me now, because I know you guys know. I know you guys know. I'm not going to ask you where Elvis is, if he's still alive, because Rob will tell me he's alive and he's going to live another 100 years. I want to know if you guys think they got away.
I don't think so.
No?
I think they did.
I think they did too. I do too.
Yeah. I mean, technically, even if they drowned, they got away. And go back to jail.
Leave it to Dave. He's like, well, you know what? Either way, they got away. They're not in jail anymore. He's right. He's not wrong. They did get away. It's just a question of how far, I guess, is really what I was asking.
I think Jesse put that episode together, right?
That was a Jesse episode.
So just to hit on the format of the show, because you brought it up a few times, we wanted to do something different, and one thing, like, podcasts are great. We love podcasts. I listen to a ton of them. A lot of the ghost podcasts that I listened to were all banter centric, and we just felt like you lose the story sometimes, like when you're just strictly doing banter.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that we were showing respect and making sure our audience heard the story start to finish. So I came up with like the documentary style part of that. Dave added the opening ghost story bit, which I think is phenomenal.
Yep.
And then like Jesse does the music. So we just wanted to be a little different, and it's a lot of work to do it, but I think it's worth it.
It's not only different, it would not surprise me in years to come if people copy that. That's how effective it is. I mean, that is really a unique. I mean, it stood out to me. I'm like, wow, nobody's doing this. I mean, it's really well put together. And, you know, even if it took you time to craft it just how you want it, you guys got it. You guys really have something special there, you know. And then of course your content is amazing. The banter, I already told you, the banter that you guys leave and come back, and you're on the story, then you leave and come back, and you do it just right, where people aren't bored. They don't get taken away for the ride and not know where they are. You come right back to what you're doing. It's not something you can teach. You either get it or you don't, and you guys have a rhythm there. I really think the sky's the limit now with you guys. You guys have a format, you guys have a chemistry, and you guys are doing something different that people like. It really is something. We do off the record, we just let people call in. You know, we do a little prep and like, well, what's your story? So we don't, you know, we try to get someone who's got an interesting story. And I listen and I comment as we go along. But they brought up something. I feel silly saying this. I mean, I'm 57 years old and I'd never heard the word. Am I getting this right, honey? Skinwalkers?
Yes.
They call them skinwalkers. I'm like, first time somebody brings that up, I'm like, what is that? That's not even a real word. And he's like, no. This is a real thing. Just like you've heard of Bigfoot, you've heard of the Loch Ness Monster, you've heard of ghosts, you've heard of demons, and you've heard of skinwalkers. And I'm like, yeah, you had me up until that last word. And I don't really know what that means, is because everybody describes it differently than a ghost. What do you guys have any experience in that?
Yeah, so I'm familiar with what skinwalkers are. They date back to Native American folklore and culture, and what they are is they're kind of like shapeshifters. So when the fact that everybody has like a different idea of what they are kind of makes sense, because it can be different things. People see them oftentimes depicted with, you know, deer antlers and sort of anthropomorphic shape walking in the woods. That's kind of the more common one, but they show up as different things throughout different cultures and different times. We actually got a really, really eerie story about a skinwalker sent in to us we do these listener submitted ghost stories once in a while, where listeners just send in their own ghost stories and we narrate them and illustrate them and play them on our show.
Sure.
People really like those. And it was a story, just to sum it up really quick, it was a story where she was a little girl walking through the woods with her father, and they got separated. And then she sees him again, and he's walking to the woods, deeper into the woods, and he's motioning her to follow. And she's like, that's really weird. And something looks weird. And he was walking funny and breathing funny. And she got a bad feeling. She turned around, ran the other direction, and she kept running away from him. And then she sees him up ahead. So she's running towards him. She's like, what the hell is going on? And when she ran into her father running the other direction, he was all worried. He's like, where were you? I couldn't find you. And they went home, and she never said anything to him. And she was like, whatever that was that I saw was not my father.
Wow.
It was trying to lure me deeper into the woods. And it was just such a scary story, because, you know, what's scarier than something taking the shape of someone you love luring a little kid into the woods, you know?
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding at all. That, especially being that child and running away from something they don't understand, and then seeing her dad going, wait a second, you know, I was pretty sure that was you for a minute. Then I wasn't sure. And now I'm really not sure what's going on. I mean, that's nothing more terrifying than that, especially from a kid's point of view. That's God. Again, you guys got me again with the goosebumps on that. I'm telling you. Well, the skinwalker thing, we've had a few people call in. Some stories have been, you know, I can't tell if they're real or not. I do try to poke fun at them, you know, when someone says something like, well, the door shut because the wind blew. Because I know that's what the audience is thinking when someone's just telling a ghost story, and I'm poking holes in it, I'm making fun of it. But like the story you just told, sometimes we get those where there is no explanation. I can't debunk it. I can't make fun of it. There's no way around what you just said. And that we get more and more of those where people just tell short stories for 15 minutes or so, and then we move on to the next one. But man, some of those stick with you. I got to ask you guys, how do you guys come away from some of these things? Now, you've been doing them for so long, and you've done so many, whether you go to the location or whether you're just doing the homework. God, there has to be sort of an emotional toll you take. It has to change you somehow. You have to start feeling a certain way. Can you guys tell from the first day you started doing this until now, is there any kind of any kind of baggage that stays with you because of what you guys are doing? I mean, you guys are crossing over a line here. You know, you're getting right up to the line or crossing over. There's got to be some residual stuff, if anything. Can I ask that question?
Yeah, there's certain situations and stories and places that stick with you more than others. We did that Midwest trip this year, and we went to the Villisca Axe Murder House, and that's a story that long before the show, I was always interested in that case. Right? It's a heavy case. It's a terrible case. They never caught the guy who did it. He took out an entire family, 2 adults, and I believe it was 6 children total in one night with an axe, the blunt side of the axe at that. And the way he left the crime scene was horrifying. He performed like these like little rituals where he covered the windows a certain way. It's terrible. And you read about it, and then we did the story about it, and then we actually went there. And not only did we go there, we went to the graveyard to pay respects to the victims, and it's heavy. Like when you're going through a story like that, not every story hits you like that, but ones like that are a little bit tougher. And
Yeah.
the other one that I'll just say real quickly is when we started the show, I was always like, man, I really just want to do a haunted orphanage because that sounds creepy.
Yeah.
And then because you're not thinking about the history behind it. And then I started and I was doing this haunted orphanage in Michigan, and I'm like looking into the history, and I'm like, don't know how we're gonna do banter with this episode because it's we tell jokes, but like that stuff's hard. Like
No.
it's tough to joke about
What
that
if,
stuff.
yeah, but
and
what
it's
if you
like-
did a research on that and you end up, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to talk about kids. I don't want to feel it.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble reading about it. I mean, I'd have trouble following through with that now. I know it's what you guys do, but it's still, there had to be some emotional tie to that going, man, I don't even like reading about this.
It's both ways because their story still deserves to be told at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like just because we're uncomfortable with it doesn't mean that their story has any less merit than an adult couple that had something tragic
Good
happen
point.
to them.
That's a damn good point, Rob. You're right.
So I mean, it's tough sometimes, but like it's their stories are still worth telling.
What about you, Dave? Any baggage you come along with these things when they hit you? Do you take some stuff home with you, or do you try to keep it all compartmentalized?
I try to compartmentalize it. I find myself occasionally I'll be like, I feel like I'm really desensitized to all this now because we research it all the time. We do the show all the time. We go to the locations. And then when we go to the locations, I realize like, oh, I'm not desensitized to this. It's actually, it just brings you right back in. Like Rob said, Villisca was so heavy. It's one thing to read about this stuff. It's horrible. But then to actually stand in the room where it happened, and it's Villisca, for instance, is an example of one where the house is exactly the same as it was from 1912. They didn't change it at all. And if they did, they made it, they brought it back, but there's still no electricity in this house. It's the same house as it was in 1912. So when you're standing in that bedroom, it hits you.
There's got to be, like I said, I don't think I could do it at the depth you guys are because of the emotional baggage that I'd carry with me. I don't know that I could separate it. That might be tough on me. I mean, you guys really got to be into what you're doing so you can focus on the job and bringing it all to the top, like Rob just said, because there are stories that deserve to be told. But then at the same time, you still have to find a way to shut it all down. Where it keep me up every night. It's hard. That's got to be tough. It really does.
Yeah, some are easier than others.
Yeah, I bet. Listen, I got a question for you. We're coming up on the hour pretty soon here, but we currently live in northern Nevada, and
Sorry.
I like living out here. There are so many mines and history out here with Virginia City and stuff. There are ghost stories out here. We've actually got one of our producers is actually looking at getting us into a private tour of one of the most haunted mines out here with stories upon stories of people that have lived here. Is there any way I could entice you guys to come out if we could work something out and do something together if you guys were out this way? Or I don't know how far you travel. I mean, maybe Nevada's too far for you. But if they set something up and said we could all come out and we could work something out to get you guys out here and we all go through it together, would you be interested in bringing out your gear for something like that? Or is mine shafts and wandering prospectors that don't go away, is that not in your area?
It's definitely in our area. I would definitely not be opposed to it. Sounds like fun. We'd have to talk about dates and
Yeah.
logistics.
Figure something out, but I don't want you to. There's so many people out here that are still old that go, well, we've been hearing these ghost stories, and you can hear mule packs going by, and you can hear people working in the mine when there's nobody there anymore, and they swear that you can just come out and hear it. Man, guys like you with gear, you guys might pick up some stuff. I'm thinking out loud, but if you guys wouldn't be opposed to a big fat guy standing in the corner holding his mouth closed while you guys do your job, I'd like to be part of that if it would work out one day, if you guys wouldn't mind.
Oh, we would love to. We're the one place in the country we haven't really gone to investigate is the West Coast, and our West Coast listeners are really trying to get us out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have Europe planned for the early part of next year, but we're trying to get to the West Coast, so that would fit in perfectly.
Well, I'll let Shiloh Ferguson, who contacted you guys in the beginning, I'll let her work that out. There's no time set, no pressure. But if you guys figured out something where we could all do something together, I'd definitely like to participate in getting you guys out here and doing something with you. I think that'd be a lot of fun to hang out and watch what you guys do. I think that'd be fun.
We'd even bring Jesse.
Oh yeah, Jesse. I forgot about Jesse. Yeah, Jesse can come too. He can be.
The more Wild West footage, stock footage I can get in that bag, that's I have to use Red Dead Redemption.
Well, in Virginia City, there's still guys that walk around that look like Red Dead Redemption. That whole town looks the same as it did, 150 years ago. You'd have your pick.
Wooden sidewalks and everything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's some stuff. And if you guys ever go back to Tombstone, I need to be a fly on the wall. I've been down there once, and I want to go back again. If you guys ever do anything in that direction, I definitely go back, and I'd carry your gear for you. I'll carry the suitcases for you. That's how much I want to go.
That's
Jesse,
where
go ahead.
That's where our listeners want us to do a meetup. So
yeah,
I haven't. Again, we're doing the Europe thing first, but then we're gonna gander into Tombstone for sure.
Jesse is typing in that the answer is 100% yes from him. So he said,
well,
coming to the
but he's not here, so his vote
He's
doesn't
not
count.
here. No vote.
He's got to be someone's +1. Listen, exactly. I got to get out of here, you guys. Thank you guys for indulging. Thank you guys. I know it's late back where you are. Thank you guys for giving us some time with this. I'm really glad it worked out. Like I said, I'd clear my schedule to do stuff with you guys, and even just more of this stuff when there's more questions and answers. Maybe sometime I'll have, after we get some more shows under our belt, I'll email you some of the content that we got. Maybe we can get you guys back on to analyze some of it for us so we can understand some things a little better. It's really been a privilege talking to you boys. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, I guess that's it for now. We'll tune there and turn their mics down before they start talking trash about me, because that's usually what happens right about now. I'm telling you, do you guys understand, you guys listening out there on the radio, do you understand what it's like to be ghost hunters? You guys understand what it's like to be where they go out and they get right up to that line, they bring their gear and their equipment, and they're skeptics. They're skeptics, but they're also they got an open mind on that too. That's Hometown Ghost Stories. They got, you just Google Hometown Ghost Stories. All their stuff comes up. The website, all their videos. You can binge watch them like I did. I'm telling you, you guys can go backwards and you get hooked, and then you're just there for hours going through their stuff. It's something everybody needs to go do, because their stories and the way they approach this thing, their podcast, I've already said it, I'm going to say it again, one of the most unique designs to a podcast I've ever seen. And the banter between the three of them is priceless. You think my wife and I are funny? Not like these guys. This is great stuff. So listen, we got to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Not sure where you're listening in from around the planet, AM, FM, Sirius XM, or perhaps you tuned in on the Armed Service Radio Network. Remember two things in life. Number one, wherever you go, there you are. And number two, I'll catch you guys on the flip side, because I'm out, baby. I got to go. And let's see if we're still on. Radio is off. And Streamlabs is, let me get one more deal here.